It's late. Your phone is face down. But you still know exactly where it is. You're sitting on the edge of your bed, staring at nothing, replaying the last conversation like your mind is trying to find one sentence that could still undo all of this. The room is quiet in that brutal way quiet gets after a breakup. No fight, no closure, just absence, the kind that hums. And somewhere inside you, the thoughts start coming fast. Did they ever really love me? Why do I feel like I'm the only one bleeding? How can someone be so sure and I'm the one left holding all of it? Should I reach out one more time? Am I really supposed to just disappear? Here's the truth nobody tells you. The breakup did not become real for an avoidant when they pulled away. It became real when you stopped cushioning their distance. You're not weak for hurting like this. You're not dramatic for going silent. And this is not a sign that you loved the wrong person. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop interrupting the consequences of someone else's choice. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why no contact hits avoidant people so differently, why it often shocks them more than they expected, and why this shift changes you even more than it changes them. Let's get into it. Most people believe no contact works because it makes an avoidant miss you. But the real truth is deeper than that. No contact works because it removes the emotional buffer that was protecting them from fully feeling their own decision. That's the part most couples never understand. Avoidant people are not always cold. They are often overwhelmed. And when closeness starts feeling like pressure, their nervous system does what nervous systems do under threat. It protects first, it feels later. Their mind says, "I need space," but beneath the surface, their attachment system is often saying, "This is too much, and I don't know how to stay connected without losing myself." So when you keep texting, keep checking in, keep leaving the door cracked, you may think you're preserving connection, but sometimes you're actually helping them avoid the full emotional weight of what they chose. Not revenge, not mind games, not silence as punishment. This is the interruption of a cycle. Because when safety leaves a relationship, love does not always disappear. A lot of times, it goes underground. It hides beneath the surface, in distance, numbness, control, and emotionally withdrawn behavior that looks like certainty from the outside. And here's what changes everything. When you finally stop chasing, stop explaining, stop offering your presence to someone who asked to lose access to it, the entire emotional structure changes. The pursuer-distancer cycle breaks, the noise drops, the avoidance loses cover. And for the first time, they have to sit in a life where your connection is no longer available on demand. That is where reality begins. 1. Silence removes the cushion. Here's the part no one talks about. Most couples think the breakup pain comes from the breakup itself, but for avoidant people, the real shock often comes later, when the usual emotional cushion is gone. Most people in relationships keep a thread alive after the ending. A check-in text, a late night just seeing how you are, a reaction to a story, a tiny bridge that lets both people feel less severed. But the deeper truth is that this soft contact often protects an avoidant nervous system from fully registering loss. If they can still feel your presence in little doses, they can keep the connection at a distance that feels manageable, close enough to soothe, far enough to stay in control. So the disconnecting version sounds like this. Hey, I know you said you needed space, but I just wanted to see if you ate today. And the connecting version, with yourself, sounds like this. I heard your decision. I'm stepping back fully. Take care. That silence lands hard, because now there is no cushion, no emotional subscription, no quiet access to your care. And when you do that, absence stops feeling theoretical and starts feeling real. 2. Relief comes first, reality comes later. This is where it gets really interesting. Most couples misread an avoidant's early calm as proof they never cared. That's usually not the whole story. A lot of avoidant people feel immediate relief after distance. Not because the bond meant nothing, but because the pressure finally dropped. If intimacy felt like a room with no oxygen, distance feels like air. Their nervous system calms before their heart catches up. That's why so many people get confused. You're shattered. They seem fine. Bro, it feels insulting. But here's what nobody explains. Deactivating patterns often work in the short term. They push down distress so a person can function, regain control, and feel less engulfed. But suppressed emotion is not resolved emotion. It's more like putting grief in a locked drawer and acting surprised when it starts rattling months later. The disconnecting version sounds like this. They leave, go quiet, post like life is normal, and you think, wow, I really meant nothing. The connecting truth sounds more like this. Weeks later, the apartment is too quiet. Something good happens, and there's no one they want to tell, and a thought slips through. I thought I needed space. I didn't know it would feel like this. Not instantly, not always visibly, but often enough to matter. And that's the shift that turns a breakup from a clean exit into a decision they actually have to live inside. 3. You ended the pursue-withdraw cycle. And this is the one most couples never figure out. Most couples think the relationship ends when the breakup happens. A lot of the time, the cycle keeps going long after. One person withdraws, the other reaches harder. One gets more space, the other loses more self-respect. That cycle is addictive and exhausting, and weirdly familiar. The deeper truth is that anxious and avoidant patterns often organize around each other like magnets turned the wrong way. One partner feels disconnection and moves closer. The other feels that closeness as pressure and moves back. Then both people walk away feeling unseen. She feels abandoned. He feels cornered. They feel incompatible, when really they are trapped in a nervous system dance neither of them knows how to stop. So the disconnecting version sounds like this. Can we please just talk? I just need 5 minutes. Why are you doing this? And the connecting version sounds like this. I'm not going to keep chasing someone who asked for distance. I'm stepping out of this cycle. That changes the entire field. Because now your energy is no longer turning towards someone who only feels you through pursuit. Now they have to meet the silence they asked for without your longing constantly filling the room. And when you do that, the walls between you stop being fed by the same old pattern. 4. No contact gives them no villain. Honestly, this one is huge. Most couples don't realize how often conflict keeps the emotional bond alive. Even bad connection is still connection. When you protest, plead, accuse, spiral, or send that 12-paragraph text, an avoidant can unconsciously focus on your reaction instead of their choice. Your emotion becomes the headline. Your pain becomes the distraction. And now they get to tell themselves, "This is exactly why I had to leave. It was too much." Not because your pain is wrong, not because your heartbreak is inconvenient, but because intense pursuit can make it easier for a withdrawn person to externalize the discomfort. And here's what changes everything. When you go quiet with dignity, there is no villain left to point at, no chaos to manage, no emotional smoke cloud to hide inside. Just them, their decision, their room, their life, their unspoken feelings. The disconnecting version sounds like this. "How could you do this to me after everything? You owe me an explanation." And the connecting version sounds like this. "I'm not going to argue with your choice. I accept it, and I'm stepping away." That sentence is clean. It doesn't perform. It doesn't beg. And somewhere in them, a thought starts moving. She's really gone. He's not trying to pull me back. I actually have to live with this now. That's when your partner stops feeling like a problem to fight and starts feeling like a person they no longer get access to. 5. Freedom stops feeling romantic when it gets quiet. Here's the part most people miss. Most couples imagine distance in dramatic moments. But loss rarely hits hardest in the dramatic moments. It hits on a random Sunday, in the car, in the grocery store, when something funny happens and there is no one to send it to. Most people in relationships think breakups are about the big emotions, the tears, the final conversation, the blocked number. But attachment grief is usually built in the 30-second moments, the micro moments of presence, the tiny rituals, the unspoken turning toward that made life feel shared. So when avoidant people first choose distance, freedom can feel clean, lighter, simpler, more controlled. But eventually, the fantasy of independence collides with the physical reality of being alone. And that's when what looked like peace can start sounding like emptiness. The disconnecting version sounds like this. "I just need to be on my own right now." And the connecting truth, later, sounds more like this. "I didn't realize how much of my life felt real because you were in it." That's not always something they say out loud. A lot of the time, it's quieter than that. More like, "Why does everything feel flatter?" Or, "Why did I think distance would solve this?" Emotional distance isn't just a wall. It's scar tissue. It forms slowly over 100 unrepaired moments. And when no contact holds, the fantasy loses to the room they actually have to live in. 6. Your absence restores the weight of your presence. But here's what nobody explains. Most couples overgive at the exact moment they are being undervalued. They become more available the less emotionally available the other person becomes. You do more, explain more, wait more, hope more. And man, I get it. You think love should be obvious if you just make it obvious enough. But the deeper truth is this. When someone has grown used to your constant emotional presence, they can start experiencing it like background noise instead of real connection. Not because you lack value, but because your availability has become so guaranteed that they no longer have to feel what life is like without it. Not louder apologies. Not one last perfect message. Not proving your worth harder. What changes things is removing the constant access they were unconsciously leaning on, while still insisting on distance. The disconnecting version sounds like this: if you ever need anything, I'm still here. Always. And the connecting version sounds like this: I care about you. And because I care about myself too, I'm not staying available after this. That is not cold. That is self-respect. That is presence without self-abandonment. And when you do that, your energy stops being something they can half hold and starts becoming something they can fully lose. 7. No contact changes you first. This is where it all turns. Most couples use no contact like a secret test. Will they miss me? Will they come back? Will they finally get it? But here's what changes everything. No contact is not at its strongest when it changes them. It's at its strongest when it reorganizes you. Because the deepest emotional truth here is that your nervous system may have been living on crumbs. Hyper-alert, hopeful, scanning, reading every delay, every breadcrumb, every half-open door, like it might mean connection is still possible. That is not peace. That is survival. And this isn't a communication hack. This isn't a trick for getting an avoidant to panic. This is what it looks like when someone learns to love without losing themselves in the process. So the disconnecting version sounds like this: checking your phone all day, replaying old messages, waiting for their silence to finally break. And the connecting version sounds like this: you wake up, you grieve, you take the walk, you call your friend, you build a life your heart can live inside again. Then something shifts. Your body softens, your thoughts clear, your self-respect comes back online. And whether they return or not, you are no longer standing at the edge of your life asking someone else to choose you before you can choose yourself. That's the shift that turns a relationship from a place you begged to stay in into a standard you carry with you. So if you needed to hear this, hear it clearly. No contact is not about making someone suffer. It's about finally letting reality do what your over-explaining never could. You stop protecting someone from the weight of losing you. And even more importantly, it is the moment you stop protecting yourself from the truth of what this connection has been costing you. This isn't a checklist. It's an identity shift. When you internalize this, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop chasing clarity from someone who chose distance, and you start becoming someone who can hold grief, boundaries, and self-respect in the same hand. That changes your connection to love itself. These aren't tips for getting an avoidant back. They're the beginning of becoming emotionally available to your own life again. And the real mic drop truth is this: the moment you stop cushioning someone else's distance is the moment your value becomes impossible to ignore. If this gave language to something you've been living, stay with the channel. And if you're in that season right now, drop a comment that says, "I stopped chasing." Sometimes that one sentence is the first real step back to yourself.